Trump is arraigned in D.C. Two governors agree to an unconventional debate, and a porn star goes viral for her marriage advice. All of that and more today on Speechless, The Daily Show. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Speechless, The Daily Show. I'm your host, Phares, the 22-year-old conservative college student out of Central Illinois, City's 92.9 radio show host. Thank you guys for being here. I have a lot to cover today, but before we get to all of that, don't forget to like the video. It's right down there. Subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. On my way to being monetized, and so every subscription helps. And also hit that notification bell because, you know, ScrewTube tries to silence me, so hit that notification bell, ring it, and set it to all. Subscribe. Also, leave me a comment. What do you think about everything we're talking about here today and every day? Leave me comments. I want to know what you guys think, and it might come up in one of my next shows. And then share the video if you really like what you hear. Let your friends that agree with us know that I'm out here spreading the news that a lot of people won't spread. And even better, send it to your liberal family member. If you want to send this video to them, they just scream their head off. It'd be funny, and I'd love to see what their comments are too. But let's get right into it. First story of the day, Trump was arraigned today in court for the crimes I detailed yesterday in my video that really kind of outlined exactly what he was indicted for. But he was arraigned today in court for those crimes. As I am recording this, he is still in the courtroom, and the rumor mill is turning out that he's probably going to plead not guilty. And this news is pretty much expected, as this is his third indictment of Trump in the last year, and this one seems to be going about the way of the rest of them. However, in this case, all of the alleged charges essentially boil down to the fact that he denied election results. Many are claiming that this is a free speech case, of which I agree with those many. And it has been pointed out to me that Trump is not the first person to deny election results publicly and consistently. Here are some clips of a 12-minute video. I'm not going to play the whole video, but here's some clips of a 12-minute video of Democrats and several prominent Democrats denying election results. Let's take a look.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen from you.
How can you win with Russian interference, though?
That's
what
real
I'm
thing.
scared about in 2020.
But rightly.
Because I think he's an illegitimate president that didn't really win. So how do you fight against that in 2020?
You are absolutely right.
He's an illegitimate president in my mind.
Could you be my vice presidential candidate?
Oh, there we go. President Biden right there.
I absolutely agree.
Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016.
Jimmy Carter.
He lost the election, and he was put into office because the Russians interfered.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president.
The president-elect, although legally elected, is not legitimate.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You said you believe that Russia's interference altered the outcome of the election.
I do. We have a president who, if in fact it is proven, has been assisted by the Russians and may in fact not be a legitimate president.
The one thing that Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory
Hillary Clinton
was.
consistently obviously told the lie.
I object to the 15 votes from the state of North Carolina. I object because people
obviously
are
it's from
horrified.
2016.
He's an illegitimate president.
Do you believe Trump is a legitimate president?
What I believe is that there's no question that the outcome of this election was affected by the Russian interference.
There absolutely is a cloud of illegitimacy.
So that legitimacy is in question, yes.
So that was a very tainted election.
Jerry Nadler.
In that sense, it's illegitimate.
Why do you think the president is going to such great lengths to essentially prove that he beat you?
Because he knows he didn't. He knows he's an illegitimate president.
Stolen emails, stolen drone, stolen election.
Karine Jean-Pierre.
Welcome to the world of unprecedented Trump.
So do you believe President Trump is an illegitimate president?
Based on what I just said, which I can't retract.
So, obviously, and it's a whole 12-minute video, and I don't need to go through all of it, because here's what we know, is we know that Democrats are the kings of accusing you for doing what they are doing. Sal Alinsky's rules for radicals: accuse your enemy, accuse your opponent of doing what you are doing. And that's exactly what they're doing here, except for they're not just accusing Trump of it. They are going through a full-fledged indictment, arraignment, criminal prosecution, and dragging him through the mud for it. And it's absolutely despicable. But here's what I would just want to say about this is a few things. First off is if everybody can get on board with the idea that people do not trust elections. Look, we know from the Durham report, we know that Russia did not interfere with the 2016 election. We know this to be true. We know all of those instances where Democrats lied about it. We know that to be true. Obviously, many are conflicted on the 2020 election and interference, and so I'm not going to necessarily comment. I believe that the election was rigged, not by voter fraud. I believe it was selective reporting from the media, from them did not actively barring people from talking about Hunter's laptop. I mean, we know that happened in the media. And so whether or not you believe in the election fraud idea, we know that it was at least rigged by the media and selective reporting. So all of that said is Americans obviously do not trust the elections. Hell, even politicians themselves do not trust American elections. And so why do we not get on board with things like making sure that voting day, or at least there is a shorter period of voting? Hell, in Illinois, we have 40 days to vote. Why don't we get on board with things like ensuring voting like that, ensuring shorter voting periods so that there's less time for people to potentially commit fraud? Why do we not get on board with paper ballots and in-person voting, limited access to mail-in voting, decreasing chances of decreasing laws of ballot harvesting, where legally people have shown to either neglect ballots or ballots are easily misplaced, anything like that? Why do we do that? Paper ballots, no electronic voting machines that could have a chance of having issues. Voter ID, so that you actually have to prove that you are a United States citizen who is registered to vote to vote. Why is it that we can't get any of that passed? Mainly Democrats object to it. I wonder why that is. I'll let you figure it out. So why is it that everybody will always complain that an election is rigged, but we can never pass legislation that actually secures elections? That question is rhetorical because we know the answer, and YouTube might ban me for saying it. So a question I begged yesterday, however, in my video was how these indictments and controversies surrounding the Trump campaign will fare for him to win over independents, moderates, undecideds in the primary. Well, out of Fox News yesterday, almost as if they watched my show and realized that I was asking these questions, they came out with, while recent polls suggest former President Donald Trump is currently leading the GOP presidential primary race, nearly half of Trump supporters are considering voting for a different candidate. You guys heard that. Nearly half of Trump supporters are considering voting for a different candidate. And I understand many of my viewers are very pro-Trump. And if anything, these indictments help a lot of his polling more. People realize, hey, the DOJ is being weaponized against this guy. If anything, that makes you want to vote for him more because he talks about wanting to fight the deep state, and he's obviously being targeted by the deep state. And so I understand that perspective. But again, there are many people that were pro-Trump in 2020, 2016, including myself, who are considering voting for another candidate. Siena College had a poll that found that 54% of Republican respondents are supporting Trump in his third presidential bid. However, 46% are still considering voting for a different candidate in 2024. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was the choice candidate to 17% of GOP voters, receiving the second most support among the primary contenders. The margins were tighter, however, in a one-on-one matchup between Trump and his Florida rival DeSantis in 62% to 31%. With Trump still holding a significant lead. So have no fear. Have no fear if you're a Trump supporter. He is still leading in the majority of polls. However, obviously there are people that are worried either about these indictments or worried about his past controversies. I even saw in one of my videos pertaining to Vivek Ramaswamy, where one of my viewers is looking to possibly vote for Vivek for the purpose of he's just got a cleaner slate. And I can understand that. And that's where I fall onto a lot of it. I talked about yesterday how the purpose of these indictments are to showcase a significant amount of Trump's controversies. Having documents at his home, that's the Florida indictment. The Stormy Daniels hush money case, that's the New York indictment. January 6th, obviously, that's the D.C. indictment. And then there's a criminal investigation pending in Georgia, and that one is to showcase the indictment or his what he did in Georgia post November 20th or November 2nd, 3rd, whatever, in 2020, where he went down to Georgia during their runoff election, and obviously, quote unquote, meddled down there with Governor Brian Kemp. So yes, that is obviously the purpose of all the strategy of the weaponized justice system, to showcase all of Trump's indictments or showcase all of his controversies. And so I understand, and I side oftentimes with people that, while I understand it's a weaponized justice system, and he does have a lot of all of these controversies, all these indictments, while maybe unjust, showcase a true controversy that surrounds Trump. Trump did have an affair with Stormy Daniels. There was hush money. That is a real thing. Trump did have classified documents at his home. The level of national security that was breached for this, questionable, but he did have those documents. Trump did have a role to play in January 6th, while he didn't, nor is he didn't incite a riot, nor is he being charged with inciting a riot. It is still a controversy that surrounds him and is an easy Democratic ploy, because not everybody's going to look up and see that and see how January 6th was potentially a setup. No, but not everybody is going to figure that stuff out. You have 70 to 80% of low propensity voters who will never figure that out. And they'll read the headline, Trump, January 6th insurrection, and that is what they will associate. And so that is why I say that maybe we should take a step back and look at potential other candidates. That's why I say that. That said, how do these indictments make you feel as a voter? Are you one of the people that makes you want to vote for him more? I don't blame you. I understand that. Again, it gives him a lot more credibility when he discusses wanting to take down the deep state. It likely fuels his anger to want to do so. I get it. How do these indictments make you feel? Who do you plan to support for the 2024 primary? Did anything I say convince you to maybe look at another candidate, or are you still 100% pro-Trump? Why? Either way, why? Leave me a comment and let me know. I really want to know what you guys think, because obviously I'm voicing my opinion, but the show's called Speechless. I want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to share their opinion. And especially during my live streams on Sundays from 3 to 5, I try to make sure that all opinions can be heard, because mine isn't the only one out there. Mine is by no means the most important. And the most important is the collective American public. That's the opinion we need to make sure is there. And if you're just tuning in, I'm Kev Phares, 22-year-old conservative college student out of Central Illinois, host of Speechless on Cities 92.9, a local conservative talk news radio station in Central Illinois. And I want you guys to know that you can support this show. And it doesn't necessarily have to be by just going to the bottom of this video and checking out one of my Venmo or my Cash App or anything. You could do that, but you could also support the show by simply liking the video, commenting on it, subscribing to the channel, or sharing the video with your friends that are like-minded, or more specifically, your friends that are not like-minded, because those are the people I really want to hear from. Ooh, those triggered lefties. I love it. But in terms of the 2024 primary, there's an interesting development, an alternative timeline. Some say that the 2024 general election will be between Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former husband of Kimberly Guilfoyle, Gavin Newsom. Well, we are one step closer to that matchup between Governor DeSantis and Gavin Newsom, as DeSantis announced on Sean Hannity's show last night that he accepts the California governor's request to debate. And it seems as though it will actually happen. Let's take a look at that clip from Hannity last night of Ron DeSantis.
You heard Gavin make the offer. Your answer is?
Absolutely. I'm game. Let's get it done. Just tell me when and where. We'll do it. And here's the thing, Sean. I mean, in one respect, the debate between California and Florida, has already been had, as you suggest. People have been voting on that. They've been voting on it with their feet. They have fled California in record numbers. Florida has been the #1 state for net in-migration. We have the #1 ranked economy, #1 now in education, crime rate at a 50-year low. But in another sense, this is the debate for the future of our country, because you have people like Joe Biden. They would love to see the Californication of the United States. Biden may not even be the nominee. You could have Gavin Newsom. You could have Kamala Harris. And I think if we go down that direction, that's going to accelerate American decline. We can't see America decline anymore. We need to reverse.
Yep. Obviously, a lot of people are interested in this debate, and it's fairly unconventional. How often do you hear in American media of two governors that are not either? Well, one is a candidate for president currently. The other one has been rumored to be a candidate for president, Gavin Newsom. A lot of people have been saying that maybe he'll throw his hat into the ring, just like J.B. Pritzker out of Illinois. And so there's a lot that people are breaking down, or that are talking about this. And I'm very interested to see if this debate will happen. I say if, and the reason I say if is because we really don't know. I mean, Elon Musk was supposed to fight Zuckerberg, but we don't even have a date for that yet. So I'm very interested. I hope this debate happens, and what exactly will come out of it, I don't know. But what I really think, and this is all speculation, simply as just a very, very informed individual, I think that Gavin Newsom, this is his test, right? He goes up against Governor Ron DeSantis on the debate stage, and that's his test to see whether or not he'll announce for 2024, if he becomes Joe Biden's replacement, like Ron DeSantis hinted at, or if he waits till 2028. I guarantee you that at some point with it, either 2024 or 2028, Gavin Newsom will be a presidential candidate, and he is 10 times worse than Joe Biden, Obama, Kamala combined in terms of liberalism and progressivism, a billion times worse. But he will be a presidential candidate. And I would even go as far to say, I predict it today, August 3rd, 2023, that within my lifetime, Gavin Newsom will be a general candidate for the Democratic Party for president. I'm saying it now. He is the poster boy. Look, I'll be straight up with you guys. He's not a bad looking guy. He's not. He is very good at public speaking, very good at debate, and very good at ramming through some of the most progressive, arguably Marxist policy of any Democrat politician in the last 20 years. I think the only one that might beat him is Obama. The only one that might beat him is Obama. And so, yes, he will likely, I 100% see him being the Democrat poster boy for the next decade. All of that said, though, I'm going to take a drastic shift. But before I do that, I want to remind everybody, please like, subscribe, and share. I'd really appreciate it. Yes, please like, subscribe, and share. I'd really appreciate it. Now, let's go to the Washington Post. Let's check on them and see how they've been doing. Well, the Washington Post 2 days ago posted an opinion piece, or more of just like a human interest piece that I find really, really interesting. And it's all about abortion and abortion bans. The headline for it is, "An abortion ban made them teen parents." An abortion ban made them teen parents. In this, it outlines the story of two people, Brooke and Billy, 19-year-olds that became parents after a Texas abortion ban stopped them from having an abortion. But I want to focus primarily, I'm going to go through some of the article here and rebut it, and react to it. But we're going to start off with just the headline: "An abortion ban," out of the Washington Post, "An abortion ban made them teen parents." And this is how the left sees this. And this is what's so interesting to me, is that it seems like the left just kind of ignores the entire idea of how babies are actually made, because they say an abortion ban made them teen parents. Maybe it was the unprotected sex. Any chance you think it might have been the unprotected sex that these teens were having? No chance that it was the unprotected sex. It had to have been the abortion ban. Like the abortion ban somehow made Brooke get pregnant, and all of a sudden, nope, there's an abortion ban. Babies just appear. I don't know, but let's get into this a little bit. When Brooke met Billy, this is out of the Washington Post article. When Brooke met Billy at a skate park in Corpus Christi, Texas in May 2021, she could not have predicted any piece of the life she was now living. She'd been gearing up for real estate school, enjoying long days at the beach with her new boyfriend. Then she found out she was 3 months pregnant. And because of a new law, she could no longer get an abortion in Texas. The closest clinic that could see her was in New Mexico, a 13-hour drive away. She gave birth to Kendall and Olivia 6 months later. Pause. I'm not going to go through the entire article, but let's just pause there. So here's the timeline that the Washington Post walks out. Brooke meets Billy, skate park, Corpus Christi, Texas. She was gearing up for real estate school, enjoying long days at the beach with her new boyfriend. Then all of a sudden she was pregnant, everybody. All of a sudden she was pregnant. It just happened. No mention of sex in this article. No mention of how children are conceived. It's just, oh, all of a sudden, she was just having a good time. She was having a good time. And oh my God, she's pregnant. She's pregnant. She's pregnant. Oh my God, freak out. No discussion of the decisions that are made, the many decisions that are made that lead to the conception of a child. Why is that? Because they're promoting an agenda that pregnancy is forced upon people that do not want it by radical Republicans and their abortion bans and conservatives and pro-life religious zealots that just want to force their ideology onto everybody. No. Pregnancy is, to an extent, obviously there's very, very extreme examples. That's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about, we're going to talk about Brooke and Billy, boyfriend, girlfriend. Pregnancy was not thrust upon them, as this article would have it seem. No, they chose to engage in a relationship, engage in a physically intimate relationship, and then engage in a physically intimate relationship that could and did result in the conception of children. So, she gave birth to Kendall and Olivia 6 months later. The article outlines different stories of how they struggle as parents, with Billy sitting on the couch watching TV while the children get into trouble, like falling into the toilet, making messes, etc., describing how hard it is for these parents to support the children on hourly wages. A story that's not uncommon, right? It's not uncommon. Teen pregnancy is very difficult. There's entire TV shows, reality TV shows about teen pregnancy and how difficult it can be to go through that struggle. Nobody said it would be easy. But then the article continues, Brooke's future is still uncertain. After her daughters were born, she and Billy got married and moved into a 2-bedroom apartment more than 1,000 miles away from South Texas, the only home they'd ever known. If they didn't have babies, Brooke and Billy both concede that they probably wouldn't still be together. Their teen romance would have flamed and faded, remembered by a few Instagram posts and the pink-wheeled skateboard Billy chose for Brooke at the skate shop by the bay. Now, with 2 children, they are permanently linked. Okay, there's a lot to break down here. Honestly, this article is radically depressing. And I'm sure the author agrees, but for a very different reason. I guarantee you the author would say this is so depressing because look at what could have been if they didn't have children. Brooke could have gotten her real estate license. They could have parted ways and been on their separate journeys to true happiness. Instead, the reason why this article is depressing is because of the neglect for human life. This article is radically depressing because of the neglect for human life. And again, there's a lot in between there, too, about the different stories and struggles that they go through. It also even recognizes that there was an initial article posted about their story that pro-life people said was great because they obviously had the children and it was a win for human life, while pro-choice people hailed it or condemned it because it was just radical Republicans forcing motherhood on Brooke and fatherhood upon Billy. But here's why this article is radically depressing, because of the neglect for the human life that are the children. The children, Kendall and Olivia. This article, again, that last quote that I read, the ending of the article, now with 2 children, they are permanently linked. This article treats those children, Kendall and Olivia, as handcuffs. This article treats Kendall and Olivia, 2 living human children, as handcuffs for these people that don't want to be together. This article treats 2 human lives, Kendall and Olivia, as an anchor. As an anchor from Brooke being able to get her real estate license and Billy from being able to live out his dreams. This article neglects human life. And it neglects the entire reason that children are born. The biological reasons, but also the happiness that they can bring. Look, I'm telling you right now, this article is written when their children are fairly young. Obviously, these parents got together in 2021. It is now 2023. Their children at most are 2 years old, and so yes, it's not an easy time. Again, they tell stories about how Billy sits on the couch lazy, and the children make a mess, and the mom has to clean it up, and all that stuff. Those aren't uncommon stories. I mean, heck, my parents were married when they had me, and it wasn't easy. I made messes. My sisters made messes. That's called being a parent. That's called being a parent. And I don't know for sure, but I'm willing to bet this author either isn't a parent or doesn't live a life in parenthood that's comparable to just struggling to keep it all together. But those stories, like I said, are not uncommon. What's crazy about this, and this is the leftist narrative that's being pushed, is that Republicans are the problem. Republicans are practically forcing women to have children they don't want to have. No one is forcing anyone. No pro-life person wants somebody to be forced to have a child they don't want. You know what I can tell you is that if you know what's not mentioned in this article, the other options that Brooke and Billy both had. They never offered the option of, hey, maybe you shouldn't have unprotected sex. Maybe that's what led to your pregnancy. No, in fact, they actually say that it's the abortion ban that made them teen parents. They never offered that option. They never discussed the option of adoption. Look, and I know there's a lot of people that complain about how our adoption system is and how our foster care system is. I don't negate that there are problems that need to be fixed, but fixing that problem isn't saying, wow, you should just be able to go kill your baby. That's not how you fix that problem. Not even a little bit. And so lefties, liberals, progressives oftentimes want to just ignore all the other options that a teenager has in that very difficult situation. Maybe we shouldn't be encouraging promiscuity. Maybe we shouldn't be encouraging a lack of accountability. Now, what do I mean by that? A lack of accountability. The lack of accountability being, oh, well, you can just go have all the sex you want because even if you get pregnant, you just end it. And so I'm going to go through the abortion argument real quick while we're on this topic, simply just in case anybody hasn't heard me give this before, because it's not just religious. Obviously, there's a religious argument against abortion. That's in and of itself a whole nother topic. I'm going to appeal to you in a different way. Okay, well, what is murder, right? What is murder? Murder is the forceful taking of life. Or human murder. Forceful taking of a human life. Okay, I'll agree on that. Cool. What is life? Or when does life begin? At what point is life a human life? Well, 96% of biologists, this is a study out of Chicago, over 5,000 scientists were talked to, most of them actually self-identifying as Democrats. Important note. 96% of them said that life begins at conception. Okay, so if murder is the forceful taking of a human life, and science agrees for the overwhelming majority, again, 96%, you're never going to have a 100% consensus in science. It's simply not a thing. 96% of scientists agree that life begins at conception. Therefore, abortion is murder. Currently, in our legal system, murder is illegal. In fact, our legal system already recognizes the murder of an unborn child, not by means of abortion, depending on what state you live in, but not by means of abortion federally. But federally, there's an Unborn Victims Act. I believe it was passed in 2004. It was under the Bush administration. The Unborn Victims Act in it states that if a murder is committed against a pregnant woman, if a pregnant woman is murdered, then the murderer can be charged in federal court with a double homicide. So here's the thing, is that our federal court system already recognizes that a fetus is a human life. So for the sake of legal consistency, for the sake of and scientific consistency, abortion is murder and should thus be illegal. What liberals want to say is that abortion bans are thrusting pregnancy upon unsuspecting mothers, as if people just wake up one day pregnant, which obviously we know is not how the world works. And we're going to get to talking a little bit more about the increased level of promiscuity. I have another story for that. But first, I want to get to this one. And before that, I know it's first, before that, second, whatever. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you haven't already. Like this video and the thumbs up right down there. Subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell. Hit it to all so that ScrewTube can't shadow ban me anymore. And then also don't forget to comment and let me know what you think about this video, what you think about the stories I'm talking about. What do you think about the liberal media, the Washington Post putting that crap out there, the Trump indictments, everything? Give me a comment. Let me know what you think. And then share the video. Share it to Facebook, share it to friends, family, whatever. I'd really appreciate it. But let's talk about this. Try that in a small town. We all know that famous song. Well, somebody tried something in a big town and learned something real quick. Out of the New York Post, 2 7-Eleven workers in California took matters into their own hands and used a stick to wallop a man who tried to steal a trash can full of cigarettes. I'm going to pull up the video because I think it's just kind of fun to watch, and it's a little bit longer, but let's take a look at this about 2-minute video, and I'll narrate and comment on a little bit of it, of this man just freely trying to steal cigarettes and other items out of a Walmart. Let's just take a look right here.
Hey, why are you getting everything? Why are you getting everything? I'll put my strap on your bitch ass. Why are you getting everything?
I should also warn against language. There is some language in this video that is quite harsh.
Why are you getting everything? Bitch ass nigga. This is not a goal, I'm telling you. This is not a goal.
And let me get a switcher though. Can I get a stripper? Hey, can I get a switcher? Let me get a switcher.
Back up, nigga. Back up. Put a gun on this fucking ass nigga.
Oh, just let him go. There's nothing you can do. But it's nothing you can do. It's like they're not gonna do nothing. You just have to just claim you have insurance.
He's just going behind the counter and throwing a bunch of cigarettes into his trash can.
No, it hurts you. God damn. Ain't nothing you can do that. There's nothing you can do, man, until you call police. Ain't nothing you can do, man, until police come in. Hey, don't. Hey, ain't nothing you can do, man. Don't do that. Don't do that, man. Don't do that.
Starts beating him. Good. Look, I don't want it to have to resort to this.
Whooping his ass down. That's called whooping your ass.
Yeah, that's called whooping your ass, as that man said. That's exactly, I mean, like, try that in a small town. This is the point of try that in a small town, right? Look, I don't want society to have to be like that. When I cheer, it's not cheering, oh, yes, they're beating a guy. No, I don't want them to have to beat a guy. I don't want it to come to that. But if you're going to just openly flaunt, like the goal of this man to walk into a store and just start pouring it all into this, and he's not even trying to hide it. I'm old enough to remember in like TV shows and when it was a big deal, it was like, oh my gosh, like you're going to try to steal one thing from a store. You got to like hide it in your coat and everything. You didn't want people to know. You weren't flaunting that. This guy's like, screw it. I'm just going to put it all in here. And I guarantee you his plan was to go then sell them cheap, like $3, $4, if that, on the streets to all of his ne'er-do-well friends. I guarantee you that was his plan. Probably done it before. Probably wasn't the first time. And so this is the point of that song, Try That in a Small Town, right? Well, this is reported to have happened in Stockton, California, which has a population of like 300,000 people. So it's not quite a small town. This is what that song by Jason Aldean is about. Don't mess with my family. Don't mess with my community. Don't mess with my business, or you'll get your ass beat. And rightfully so. Again, I don't want to have to live in a society like that. But we live in a society that enables lawlessness, and retail crime like this is on the rise. A Bay Area family hardware store announced this week that it lost a jarring $700,000 in merchandise in 2022. Thanks to rampant shoplifting. Retail theft in America as a whole has skyrocketed to $94 billion, an alarming 90% increase since 2018, according to the National Retail Federation. And so if your city or even small town decides not to support law enforcement, not to prosecute criminals, not to, and if anything, some of them, by not prosecuting criminals, not supporting law enforcement, you're enabling this criminal behavior. I hate to say it, but like these men, you have to take matters into your own hands. And so I don't want to encourage criminal behavior. If anything, I want to discourage it. Don't rob from places. Don't go to convenience stores and just steal things off the shelves, especially shamelessly. Don't do it, period, but don't do it shamelessly like this guy. Because you're putting yourself in a situation where somebody might react that way. And there's tons of other stories where people there's been people that have been videotaped, or that videotaped, they've been fired for videotaping people for committing retail theft. No. Don't steal from places. Look, I want to discourage vigilante justice, but we are going to have to encourage protection of your business. And so, yes, get the police there. The police should deal with that. But this is California. You think they're prosecuting that guy? You think they're holding him in jail? You think they're making him pay for his crimes of stealing all those cigarettes? No. No. This isn't about anything else than lawlessness. And lawlessness is rampant in this country. It is right now in Joe Biden's America. Criminals for Joe Biden. That should be his new slogan. Criminals for Gavin Newsom. Criminals for Democrats. Because they enable this behavior. I don't know a single Republican that when January 6th happened, we're going to do a quick comparison here. I don't know a single Republican that after January 6th said we should not charge anybody who had a relation to destruction of property, to breaking and entering, to anything like that. Now, people called for fair trials, fair holding, fair prosecution. People called for that, but nobody said that somebody shouldn't have their day in court. Now, when the BLM riots happened and looting, property damage, all of that was into the billions of dollars that was either destroyed or stolen. You had Democrats that said, we need to bail these people out of jail. This is inappropriate. You're hampering on the First Amendment. Yes, your First Amendment, which apparently protects your right to go to a Walmart and steal TVs. These people are crazy. These people are crazy. Anybody who supports this kind of lawlessness is absolutely insane. It's insane. But everybody, doing a big 180 here too into another story. Real quick before that, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. I'd really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, and share. And leave me a comment. What do you think about this next story that we're going to get into? A prominent porn star, arguably one of the most famous ones there is, gives marriage advice in a now viral TikTok. Mia Khalifa, who made money sleeping with men, and in some cases women, I believe, has gone viral for this TikTok in which she gives her marriage advice. Everybody, let's take a look right here at this video.
Oh, we're comparing stats. Baby girl doesn't know that I am Tom Brady at this game. Married at 18, divorced at 21. Second marriage, married at 25, divorced at 28. Third engagement, engaged at 29, ended it at 30, but I kept the ring. I'm still keeping Tom Brady on his toes. We should not be afraid to leave these men. We are not stuck with these people. Marriage is not a sanctimonious thing. It is paperwork. It's something, it's a commitment you make to someone. But if you feel like you're not getting anything from that commitment and you're trying, you gotta go. You gotta go. You have to go. I know it's difficult to fill out paperwork and to make appointments and to do all of these things, but this is life. Do you want to be stuck with someone? Period. Do you want to be stuck with someone?
So that was Mia Khalifa, prominent porn star, giving her marriage advice. Yes. True story. And she has every right to give her marriage advice. I don't want to say like she doesn't, but we should honestly analyze exactly what she has to say, because obviously she's an expert in some kind of a relation. But there's two quotes that I want to start off with when it comes to this. And it's: marriage is paperwork. Marriage is not sanctimonious. And there's no sanctity in marriage. That's disgusting and false. Marriage actually originated as a religious term. It is not, while it has worked its way into our legal lexicon, it is a religious term that represents the union of two people in God's image. Represents the idea of Adam and Eve, the first true union between two people. So, yes, marriage, while it does contain paperwork in the legal sense, it is very sanctimonious, but obviously that's representative of the secular society that we are moving towards, where people don't believe in God, don't respect religion, actively fight against religion, and thus don't have any need for marriage, no belief in marriage. And we're going to get to all that. But while I'm no marriage expert, I want to be clear about that. I'm not a marriage expert either, just as much as Mia Khalifa is no marriage expert. I feel as though this advice that she gives is problematic for a few reasons. So first, let's question the background of the person giving the advice as it relates to the fundamental idea of marriage, right? The majority of marriages in America, and the majority of marriages, period, are usually built around a monogamous relationship. Now, there are some of different faiths. I know that in the past, and don't get mad at me if you are a Mormon, but I know that in the past, Mormons used to use their faith to rationalize a polygamist relationship. There's other faiths, obviously, that have been modeled around polygamy. However, the majority, we're generalizing here, I'll admit it, but the majority of marriages are built upon a monogamous relationship. And what do I mean by monogamy? Well, what I mean by monogamy is one man, one woman in relationship, and thus also one man, one woman in intimate relations, in partner relations, and things that you're doing together. It's one man, one woman. Or heck, honestly, let's take it out of this. So that's the traditional idea of marriage. Even one man, one man. Even if you want to take it a little bit into like 2012, once that was legalized, one man, one woman, one woman. That's usually what marriage is. It's the idea of a monogamous relationship. The vast majority of marriages in America are monogamous. Now let's take the person in question who is giving this marriage advice. Obviously has, before 30, gone through 3 marriages and 3 divorces. She got her fame and made most of her living by performing sex acts and engaging intimately with many men, and in some cases women, sometimes many at once. So, do you think she's an expert on monogamy? And I know for all the liberals out there that's going to go, he's slut-shaming her. No, I'm not slut-shaming. Do what you want, I guess. I mean, like, if that's how you want to make your money. But don't try to tell me what healthy marriage and healthy relationship advice is when that's your view of the world, is that you could just sleep with whoever you want and get a payday for it. Like, don't try to tell me that you know a lot about a healthy relationship. So that's that. Simply the premise of the person giving the relationship needs to be called into question. Then let's also ask the question of the advice itself. And while the premise of the advice is insane, like I said, the idea of a person who has flourished off promiscuity and then tries to give me advice on monogamous relationships, that's just hilarious in and of itself. While that premise is insane, we must take it seriously. Why? Because it seems like a lot of people follow this kind of ideology, that ideology being what she essentially says is that if you're bored with somebody, if a relationship doesn't seem fulfilling in the moment, drop it. It's just paperwork, right? It's just paperwork. We need to take this especially seriously because this seems to be an ideological trend among many young women, especially. Now, men can be thrown in there too. Men can be, but a lot of young women. Let's walk this out statistically, because again, I'm not a marriage expert, but I can look at statistics. Let's walk this out. First off, while not all young women are making money off their promiscuity, it is on the rise. The digital paywall platform, OnlyFans, has essentially allowed all women to profit off intimate pictures and videos. Not only that, statistics back up my claims of increased promiscuity. In a study of sexual trends in the United States, researchers at the University of Utah found that promiscuity is rising for women and declining for men. The number of women who've had sex with more than 15 partners has increased over the past few decades from 3% to 7%. Now, while that's not a drastic rise, it's 4%, it's still 4% and it's a rise, and it is declining. Promiscuity is declining for men. So this does seem to be kind of more of a woman's conversation. And yeah, I'm a man commenting on it. I can do whatever the heck I want. If a porn star can comment on marriage, I can comment on women's issues, period. Let's just say that. That said, let's look at divorce rates. Let's compare it, because I'm talking about Mia Khalifa's promiscuity and her concept of marriage and understanding of marriage. Let's compare that. And so then we look at women's promiscuity. Now let's look at divorce rates. According to the census, the 2021 divorce rate dropped from 6.9 in the last year from 9.7 divorces per 1,000 women in 2011. So in 10 years, the divorce rate dropped. Good, right? Increased sexual promiscuity has also led to a lower divorce rate. That must be helping with relationships, right? Wrong, everybody, wrong. According to the census in 2021, the United States marriage rate was 14.9 marriages per 1,000 women in the last year per 1,000 women, down from 16.3 a decade earlier. So while divorces have gone down a bit, which is good, marriages have also gone down a comparable amount. So divorces have gone down, likely, the statistics would show that marriages are going down because divorces are going down because marriages are going down. You got less people married, less people are going to get divorced. Makes sense. It's not because of the rise in promiscuity. I would argue that, in fact, the rise in promiscuity has actually led to less people getting married. And with that, birth rates are also down about 13% in the last 15 years. So let's bring back in Mia's marriage advice. Just drop them. That's her advice. Just drop them if you're bored. Just drop them. Well, that seems to be what people are doing to marriage and parenthood as a whole. In a world where instant gratification is king, and the slightest hint of hardship or boredom must be eradicated, what else would you expect? And that has led us down to a road of our own demise. Declining birth rates, declining marriages, declining belief in God and religiousness, decline. Nowadays, people look for a quick hit of happiness and don't look down the long, hard road for the light at the end of the tunnel. They don't. Marriages aren't supposed to be easy. You're not always supposed to be happy in a marriage. Having kids, like we talked about in the Washington Post article earlier, it's not supposed to be easy. Nobody promised you an easy life. I don't know where people in my generation especially got this idea. No one promised you an easy life. Life is hard. And your most fulfilling moments, the most fulfilling thing in life is when you show yourself that you can get through those hard times and see what comes out on the other side. Boredom is going to be a part of life. You're going to get bored in a relationship. You're going to. And if you just drop it, you're going to consistently be looking for fulfillment that's never there. And that's what I hear from people. While I understand this is anecdotal, the young people I know who are fit, they work out. That's something that takes commitment. I'm not the most fit. I'm working on it right now, but I'm not the most fit. But the people that I know that are, and they're in a stable, long-term relationship, they're either engaged or married, or plan to be so. They're having or expecting children, or expect to have children, and live a life in fear but reverence of God. Again, anybody who's religious understands what I mean by having a fear of God. But they live a life of reverence for God. They all seem, when you fit those criteria, they seem 1,000,000 times happier than those living a life of self-servants and indulgence. 1,000,000 times happier. And again, it's anecdotal. That's not a real statistic. I just pulled it out of my butt. But they seem so much happier. So while society heeds Mia's advice, like I said, female promiscuity is up. The sexual revolution won. Cardi B's getting what she wants. Let's encourage people to consider the alternative. And that's likely not going to be an easy thing. I mean, when you have, and I've talked about this before, when you have an entire party, when you have people that push this idea that, oh, well, I mean, women, just go sleep with as many people as you want. You need to be able to have an abortion so you never have to face accountability for your actions. And you could just seek every hit of happiness you always want in instant gratification. It's not going to be easy. Why? Again, I've talked about this. Why are young women going towards liberalism? Because it preaches an idea that you don't have to be accountable for your actions. You don't have to be accountable for your actions. And thus, women are being much more, having much more sex and being more promiscuous as men are not. Men are becoming more conservative. And so this is going to cause a great gender divide. I'm serious. This is going to cause a great gender divide. And it could lead to even more declining birth rates. And like I said, decline, leading to our demise. It could. But my best advice is, because obviously not every woman is going towards that level of promiscuity. There are conservative women out there, and there are many conservative men out there. My best advice is to those who think like I do, those who believe in going through the rough crap to find further happiness, which is also just a message of God. Life on earth is not supposed to be happy. You're supposed to be working towards that higher calling. But I digress. My best advice is to those who think like I do. Get married, have a lot of children, and we can repopulate society with common sense. The common sense that's not so common right now. Yes, there's declining birth rates. Maybe it's those liberals that aren't having the kids. If we repopulate the earth and teach our kids right, then we can reinstill common sense. And again, I'm not married. I'm not in a relationship. I'm searching for that. That's something that a goal of mine. Get married, have kids, live a life in God, with God, for God. But that's what we got to do, it seems like. I mean, get married, have kids, repopulate common sense into society. Those three things, and the world might be better tomorrow than it is today. And maybe we won't lead towards decline and demise. Just saying. Everybody, it's not going to be easy. Life isn't easy. Life is hard. I've learned that. I'm sure many of you have learned that. But the hard times make the good times even better. And that's all I got to say about that. Everybody, if you liked what I had to say today in the show, let me know in the comments exactly what you liked, what you didn't, what you agree with, what you don't. Don't forget to like the video and the thumbs up right down there. I'd really appreciate that. Share it with your friends. If there's any part of this video that you liked, especially, I'm going to add chapters to it at some point so then you can sector those to your friends. I'll come out with some speechless clips. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, support me that way. If you want to support the channel in any other way, there's the Venmo and Cash App that scrolls around down there. I'd really appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe, and share the video with your friends. Everybody share it with your friends. We'll be back next time, and I appreciate you guys tuning in today. I'm your host, Kev Phares, 22-year-old conservative college student out of Central Illinois, and you've been watching Speechless, The Daily Show.